All right, all right. Welcome to Real Talk TV. Make sure you hit the like on your way in. So if you were here yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before, last video, you know that I had a wonderful woman, who came up to the panel, and she started sharing her story of really finding herself, and so my goal is to continue that tonight for this video. But until then, I wrote a book, 15 Steps to Find Love, A Woman's Journey, and it takes you on a journey. as well as builds you up to sharing your own story, and not only sharing your story, but helping other women along their journey as well, finding your place in your happiness, and helping others to find a place in their own happiness. Hey Ivy, how are you? So shout out to Ivy Ravine. She is the most amazing woman I've ever met in my life. She is a relationship coach who focuses specifically on codependency, among other things. And she gives some of the most awesome breakdowns when it comes to understanding the mind and the psychology and pathology of different individuals as it pertains to what my channel is, and that is relationships. So please make sure check out her channel. Ivy Refined is her YouTube channel, or you can always go to her website, and it is Ivy Revine. Oh Lord, I'm messing it up. Coach Ivy Revine. Coach Ivy Revine. I believe .com. All right. So as we wait, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen and find. Hey Big O, what's up with you tonight? What's up? What's up? Where you been? Big O, do you have a story to share tonight? Got me all but he's so silly. I'm waiting for who to come in. I'm seeing if Noelle got my message. I mean, I have her number. I could totally call her. Let me see. But it was getting juicy. And when I say juicy, it was getting good. And then I had to go. So we're back. The children are all asleep. Let me know how your day has been going thus far. Where is this share? Okay, share screen. Should I text her? Okay. I told her I was going live tonight or tomorrow. I said tonight or tomorrow. Let's see. Channel 2. Here we go. So I'm going to put this up on the screen for you all to set it up. Oops, what I'm doing. Oh, let's set it up. "15 Steps to Finding Love, A Woman's Journey." I'm telling you, please get this book. Listen, and I'm not tooting my own horn because I'm the author. If I were not the author, okay, so if you ever read a book by the author, Ayanna Van Sant, okay, that is the book as a child that I read, that if I could recollect who inspired me to write such a book, it would have been Ayanna Van Sant. She had a book called, I want to say, oh man, it's somewhere on my shelf. If I walk away, I'll find it. If I go to my bookshelf, because I still have it from when I was a teenager, a young teenager. And when I say it really helped me ask myself questions about me. And I said, if I ever wrote a book, one of the books I would write would be something similar to this. Absolutely. And that was at like 13, 14 years old. Thank you, Ivy. All right. So I might have to call her. I mean text her. Let me see. Gmail. Where all the real life stories to show the real life. Am I doing something wrong? I know it's in here. Oh, here we go. All right. So please put in the chat. Oh, copy. Please put in the chat how your day is going as I find, as I pull this information up. Oh, and so I did want to, I guess, expound upon, and I think Noelle will as well when she comes up, about how I reached out to the females in carbonation. Even though it could apply to males and females, I doubt the males would read this book at all. So I attempted to reach out to the women of carbonation to read this book, and two, and they were not interested, to say the least. Let's see. Conversations. Okay, here we go. If she's asleep, then we can do something a little different. I'm so glad to hear that, Ivy. It was productive. Ivy, let me tell you. They just don't know, Ivy. They don't know. All right, let me see. How do I do this? Contact or enter number. Okay. Y'all know I'm slow. Okay, so I entered the number. I want to know how to text. Fine. Okay. To show the real life pay. Yeah. All right. So as we wait and hope and see if she's gonna come up, I did want to point something out. I mean, Ivy, we talked about something earlier today, and I think this would be a great something to talk about. So my book, 15 Steps to Finding Love: A Woman's Journey, it is a guide. I'm going to say a guide. It's a 15-step with an additional step in the back. It is a 15-step guide to navigating your way through self understanding, self-discovery, self-love, so that you can essentially find someone who is compatible to you. And I like to say compatible, not perfect, because we all know perfection is unrealistic. It's not achievable, and it creates for a letdown, and that's not what you want. So start using words like compatible, or the person it matches, you and what your goals are, or what your energy is, whatever the case is. You want to use terms that steer away from perfection, because everybody's growing, right? But anyway, so I was really, trying to figure out what, if Noah doesn't come up, then drop the link. Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna drop it now. And if she doesn't come up, then you just click on it. Okay. Where's the, okay. I gotta get used to, number one, that this is not a touch screen. And number two, this is a Mac. Okay. It's there. So we're gonna give it a few minutes. If she doesn't come up, that is perfectly okay. We have a plan B. But anyway, so I was going over the steps last video. Self-discovery is probably the most important, because you cannot move forward. You can't truly know what you're looking for, who you're looking for, in terms of partnership. What was that? Oh, in terms of partnership, unless you understand you. Hey, Ivy.
Hey, boo. How are you? What's up? Wow, chicka, wow, wow. What's up with you, girl?
Listen, I'm doing my thing. I have some free time to go live. I don't know
Good.
what tomorrow's going to hold, because my little ones haven't been feeling well, so
Right.
I'm here
Right.
to.
I get it. I get it. While you have the time to do so, you got to seize the moment, right?
Hmm.
It's about seizing the moment, and that's beautiful. Good job. Okay, so that's what's up. So, what is our dialogue for today? I know you said we talked about something earlier. Did you want to elaborate on that a little bit, and we could
Yes.
dialogue? Okay.
So this
So,
one is, posed for the little bit of, my viewers,
okay.
whether you are watching live or you decide to come later on and watch the replay. We talked about that really uncomfortable situation between the Bigo host Leah and the cult leader that I've been following, right?
Right.
And how to recognize signs, and not only recognize certain signs, but how to respond to them appropriately, assertively, so that you can, like, maintain maintain power, and so that you don't allow someone else to take it away from you, as well as recognizing people who you do not want in your space.
Exactly. It-
um I mean, we could talk about that and kind of like focus on the discovery aspect. What have what does it take to know exactly who you are, or and what you want? We could go that way and not play a video at all. It's up in the air tonight.
okay. I love that. I love that. And I simply love this topic because, as you know, when we talked about it on the back end, uh, I ran my mouth, okay, because this is definitely a topic that I dive on with my clients when they're going back out into the dating world, after coming out of some trying relationships. And they,
Hmm.
they say, I think I'm ready to try this again, right? So then this is a very crucial moment at that time for us to discuss what are they looking for in a relationship, right? And the type of person that they see themselves being with. And I think it's more important to really focus on, it's about knowing yourself before it is trying to get to know another person, because too often we get into relationships with someone and we're trying to figure out their pet peeves, what they want and what they truly desire, without taking a true internal focus on ourselves and what we want and what we desire and our own pet peeves. So if you're grounded and you know yourself well, with no exceptions, like, be unapologetically yourself, right? It's okay to be unapologetic about who you are as a person. You
Right.
know, And then say, well, this is who I am. And if this person doesn't meet that halfway, then we have a problem. So it's about knowing who you are as a person first before you start jumping out into the dating world. So that's a crucial space that me and you need to kind of dive on some of these lives going forward when you get a chance,
Oh
But
yes. Oh, you
yeah.
know it.
Oh yeah. So that's a very important thing. So pet peeves. Pet peeves are important, right? So we discussed a little bit about uh you kind of made a reference to someone going on a date with someone and they dive in your plate,
Oh
right?
God, yes. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put the video up since we're going there. Give me
Okay.
1 second. Let me take this down. Okay, but keep going.
Yeah, so you go on a date with somebody and let's say for instance you're out at a restaurant and your plate comes, their plate comes, and then they fork hits your plate, right? Now, for some people, this might not actually be an issue. Hey, yeah, go ahead and share. And then some people, it will be, right? So, what do you do in a circumstance when a person is kind of violating a small, subtle boundary? And what sign should you take that as during the course of that, situation, and whether or not you're going to proceed in this particular relationship, whether this is something that needs to be discussed or whether this is something that might have to stand out to you as a red flag, right?
Mhm.
And it's subtle. Something as subtle as that can spell a lot of things about the person that you're meeting in this restaurant, right?
That's what-
So yeah, I mean, when we discussed that earlier, it really sometimes depends on the person, right? Because let's say you get two people together and they both are kind of sharing the type, two people who are, the sharing type, young lady says, oh, these greens look good. And the guy says, this fish look good. Do you want some? And the woman say, do you want some of my greens? Right. And then you kind of do that sharing mode. That's totally fine. But what if that person does not ask you and their fork hits your plate and you have a particular pet peeve regarding someone putting a fork to your plate?
and you specify verbally that you have a pet peeve of someone touching your plate.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. So you're going to play that part of the video?
Yes. I don't know why I'm having difficulty pulling it up because I was able to pull it up right away earlier. So let me see. Maybe I'm wording it wrong. Um, why? Let's see. Okay, here we go. Got it. All right. Where can I share this? What was that? I hope that wasn't one of my kids. All right. Here. So here's the video that we were discussing. And I'm gonna have probably change the title now. But this is what triggered the conversation that we're having right now. Pick up on the cues. Let's discuss them. You ready?
Let's go.
All right.
Are you gonna get it? Okay. Hi, baby. How y'all doing? Okay, all right. And yourself? Can we get like a booth right there in the corner? Come on, come on. Can you mind? Oh, yours is cute too. That's dope. The girl at Star gave it to me for free. Real? Yeah. She told me how much it was. I was like, oh, I don't put it back. And then they said, oh, she put it in my bag. Real? Yeah. Wow. Mine do the same thing. They go to the side. Free lane. Free Leah. Free me. You in a coat. Leah's in a coat now. She's with a cult leader.
right, let's see what we're gonna get. Lobster, shrimp.
This meat was so small last time I was here.
Okay, just straight to the point. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm gonna add lobster. Less is more. Appetizer, I'm gonna get a ew, ew. Open, ew. I'm gonna get a salad. Get a salad.
I know I got a thick sense of humor. Because at first I didn't like when they called me an aunt, but like now I kind of like it. Then you call me, then you said I look like your aunt in the comments.
Hear it all right? Can you hear it all right?
Yeah, I hear it.
I feel like they run out of
You gotta chop it.
Okay, so this is the part where she says outright, I don't like when people touch my food and nobody eating any of my food. I'm not sharing no food with anybody. He kind of snickers and agrees. Watch.
Hey, that rapper nigga, man. What's that nigga name, man?
Which one? I get Roddy, I get Lil Baby.
Lil Baby.
So you said Lil Baby, say Roddy, say everybody be saying everything, man.
That is free.
Yeah, and then appetizer, I want a salad. I want a salad. I want
What salad?
salad without no meat, dude.
Salad without no meat. You could do the chopped kale. You could do the wedge salad.
No
You could do a
cheese.
Caesar salad.
Caesar salad, no cheese.
Caesar salad, no cheese. You want to do the large size Caesar salad?
Huh?
As appetizer, the large size Caesar salad, or you want to do a little small size Caesar salad? Large? Alright, you said no cheese?
Have you seen that drink?
Say what?
What you would give her a drink?
She said she wanted to try to prickly pear. So I'm gonna go see if they can.
Get a water.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a water too.
A water and bottle.
2 bottle wars. I got you.
And you get like a lemonade. What's the pomegranate tea?
So on a Palmer?
Yeah.
Lemonade and sweet tea? Yep, I can get that for you.
I hate to keep stopping it, but also pay attention. He's ordering with little regard to what it is she actually wants. He's ordering, and then because she's a very strong woman, or boisterous person, she's saying what she wants, but he's ordering for her without asking her first what she wants.
Wow, that's a big red flag right there. That's him going, he's gonna do exactly the opposite of everything that she requires, right? And that's part of the takeover, but it's subtle. And if you don't pay attention to it, you'll miss that. You'll be like, okay, maybe he don't hear me, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, maybe this is something that he just does. Maybe this is just part of his personality. But no, he took that into account. He just chose to ignore her.
Right. All right.
And then look, you Top shelf.
Top shelf?
Yeah, and I want to get the filet mignon,
6 or 8 ounce?
the 6 ounce one,
6 ounce fillet. How you want to cook?
medium well.
Medium well, which 2 sides?
Loaded mashed potatoes and asparagus. Yeah.
Asparagus. All right, I got y'all.
I hope they got that drink. It was a restaurant literally right across the street that had that drink.
Legio. How they call it Legio? They call it Legio. It's just to the closet.
They said, girl, don't let him eat your food. Yeah, we don't play that. He ain't reaching in my plate.
We ain't reaching in mine.
Say we don't have prickles here.
Then what y'all got?
So,
Strawberry margarita.
yeah, you can do regular margarita, you can do a peach margarita, you can do Sex on the Beach, Long Island iced teas, Mai Tai, Moscow Mule, lemon drop martini, blueberries.
I want a Sex on the Beach one. I never tried that.
Sex on the Beach.
Okay, that clip just right there gives you so much. Number one, I have a question, right? This I have to ask. Please explain the inappropriateness of going on a date. This is the first date, and then the person sitting next to you, and not only sitting next to you, but hovering over you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's to kind of eliminate any boundaries, because we all, when you kind of meet a person for the first time, we have this kind of invisible boundaries, like within not say 3 feet, but at least, within an arm's length, right? Because you don't know the person well enough to feel that intimacy for them. Right. So when you meet them for the first time, you have this sort of invisible arm length interaction. And with a person like Eligio, him being very narcissistic, he does not understand or even believe in boundaries. You're not entitled to boundaries with him. Right. So he's kind of used to violating people's personal space. Right. I mean, we're going to take into account first that they, all of this is done initially.
But not just Eligio, but men like this. What type of man is this?
So what type of man? Well, part of being very narcissistic, they're gonna violate your space regardless. Very toxic. Ones who don't believe in having boundaries. Well, not even for you. They may have boundaries for themselves, but you're not entitled to that boundary. You're just not entitled to that boundary. And he knows that if he violates that and he gets really close and engaging, that it snuffs you out of it snuffs you out of that regulated thought. It snuffs you out of your critical thought process, right? You don't have time to process whether or not you're going to like him, whether or not you can understand him through communication. It violates all of those, right? It completely takes your mind over by storm. You're like, wait a minute, this is intrusive. This is how people get swept up in these toxic relationships, because it starts out very intrusive. You don't know that it's intrusive though, if you're not really paying attention to the signs. That's why people make all of these statements about coming out of these narcissistic relationships. They say he swept me off my feet, but he didn't just sweep you off your feet. He intruded into your space, right? And took it over very quickly.
Right. And thank you. I was going to say very quickly. Hey, Saida, how are you?
Hi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what the process is.
So, and then I also want to mention, is somebody? Oh, that's you.
Sorry.
So I also wanted to mention, about the comment that she made. You heard her say, "I don't want anybody eating off my plate." nobody can touch my plate. He's not eating off my plate. And so he kind of agreed, yes or no?
He sure did agree.
He said, no, I don't do that.
Yeah. He said, I won't do that. And don't do that. And he made a mental, and guess what? He did. He made a very mental note about that too. He made a mental note. Her saying that he's not going to do that is going to be exactly what he does do. That's what these type of men do. So everything that you tell them, all the boundaries, all of your principles, all the morals that you state previously in the relationship, or when you getting to know this person, that you put on the table in meeting them, they make these mental notes and they say, I'm going to intrude on that. I'm going to take that away from her. I'm going to violate that. I'm going to violate that. So even the smallest things, they will make a mental note of, and then they will proceed to violate it. That's the process of that.
So before I continue playing it, I had a question. Let me think. Okay, for those who are listening in the chat, have you been on a date with someone like this? If so, how did it make you feel with them hovering over you, number one, all in your personal space, and choosing your dishes for you? And then, like Ivy said, making these very, making these mental notes, and then of the things that you don't want to happen, and then violating those. I would love to hear what your thoughts are in the chat. And then I'm going to play it.
You do the top shelf? I got you guys.
Yeah. I feel like my spot is just my coochie. They said I should have got a Long Island. Long Islands are nasty. Leah has. Bitch, I'm a block you. I'm a block you, princess.
I don't know where you did it. Y'all late.
Late about what?
I was doing some work.
No, you didn't.
No, we didn't.
You didn't do nothing.
Yes, you did. Tell me where it is.
I don't know how to lie. No, I thought that'd be weird. It'd be weird. I don't know. I just can't picture my nipples pierced. And then when your nipples get hard, what happens when your nipples get hard? Or like, what if it's time for like you to breastfeed? You're a nipple man?
Okay, this is so cringy. I'm gonna be honest, this is so cringy. He's touching her inappropriately. I mean, I can understand this coming from someone her age. This is cute to her. This man is 40 years old. What help me out, Ivy.
Yep. Well, yeah, you definitely was on the right track. If you notice, he stares at her. He's paying attention to even the slightest details, right? Her hair, her face, her mannerisms. This is all things that he will take mental note of. That's how the narcissists work. They make mental note of even the slightest thing so that they can use that as leverage later. If he noticed her weave, he'll say something about it later. If their relationship had proceeded, if she wears makeup, he'll say something about her makeup later. If the relationship had proceeded, so he's violating her space, but he's also
touching her inappropriately.
Yeah.
What should a woman do if this is happening on a date?
Well, you speak up. I mean, I think that we don't, a lot of times, because women, us as women, if we're going back into the dating world, we are, hey, more beer. If we're going back in the dating world, we want to be big people pleasers when we're going back into the dating world. So a lot of times we go in with some strong intentions, especially if we see a guy that we think is pleasing to the eyes. We might make some reservations for them to do some of these things, and we give them the space to do it. But if you find that whether you like him or not and he's pleasing on the eyes, speak up. Say, listen, back up. You're violating my space right now. I don't like people so close to me, right? I'm trying to enjoy. I got to get to know you. Let's sit across from the table so I can look at you directly and I can have this conversation with you. We have to kind of stand on our square in these new relationships, or when we're going on in the dating world, stand on our square and really demand our own space and demand that. And if they violate that, there should be some kind of repercussion to that, whether it is, okay, this is a new date and you're violating my space and I'm telling you to stop. So I guess we're not going to be talking anymore, right? Or, you give them some space for that. You don't speak to them for a little while and then let them understand how you feel before you go out on the next date, and then see if they violate it again. But we have to definitely stand on our square when it comes to our space and what we're looking for in a relationship.
Let me just tell you, it gets worse. During this, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's about an hour. I might skip through some stuff. But this date gets worse. And the whole point of me bringing this, airing this and talking about this, is not for the individual Eligio. It is for this type of person. When you are navigating through, getting to know people, to be intimate with them. And when you allow yourself to be intimate with people like this, I just want to say, more beer. Hey,
oh, he said peace. Is that for Chardonnay? Okay, yeah, she could call me Chardonnay. That's all right. I'm gonna take that. Said, peace,
what's
Chard.
up, Wealthy TNT? How are you? If you are still in here. Okay. So it gets worse. Let's continue.
Okay.
I'm slow. Oh, they stay hard when you get them pierced?
You might lose some of it.
My hair don't be in people's food. Why y'all lying on me?
People be saying all kinds of stuff to get your attention. You look like that.
You gonna get banana, watch. Because you doing a lot. You finna get banana.
Oh shit, I gotta go by short, and I got an interview at 8.
Interview?
Yeah. On, God.
We just building on relationships and what relationships truly are. Why do we get in relationships?
Well, relationships are supposed to be big business. That's the business.
I want some cola.
That's not good.
Exactly. Control is really the main word that leads to why polygamous is tied to what a high value man would be. Because really, I feel like the normal state of all men is to be polygamous. Because there is no ownership really here. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you said that, Chris. So nature boy, how did we get here in monogamy?
Because the sickle cell child has a high risk of dying. Even when a woman is pregnant, she has a high risk of not having that baby. The more children you have with multiple women, the more likely your children are to be strong. Sometimes you can have a baby with a sickly baby. You know what I'm saying? The more women you have, the more likely you are to get a stronger baby. The more children you have with multiple women, you liable to have a stronger child. You know what I'm saying? A child that can make it in the world that you're subjected to.
Okay, so the purpose is fuck everyone.
Yeah, you put it on the top, but there ain't no cheese.
Okay, thanks, man. Yes, sir. Can y'all repeat that? All right. Go ahead.
I was trying to catch that little moment, but I probably skipped it. Where I'm gonna tell you because I probably skipped it, and then I'm gonna play the rest. The part that I was looking for was when she was watching the comments and she was laughing and interacting with the viewers, and he got upset that she was interacting with the viewers, and he told her that she's being consumed by the comments. So I'm gonna leave that there. Now I want you to watch this dinner situation as they eat.
You have to take your woman outside of her natural, her regular environment. Manifest money.
Everything's looking okay?
Okay, I like that. So,
Not to say that we praise money or anything, but within any system of God, it's going to be powerful.
yeah, that's what that is. There's no doubt. That's a fact. So with that being said, right? How does this man think women can overcome the competition between that's going on between black women? Because you know it's.
You got to take your woman outside the system.
What does that mean?
You have to take your woman outside of her regular environment. Your woman, you have to take your woman. First, you have to leave this environment. Go away. You got to take your woman with you. I'm sorry, excuse me. You got to take your woman away from this environment, man. You got to go off and reprogram.
Okay, cool. My next question is, why is a high value man polygamous by nature?
Because most men are homosexual. Most men are homosexual or they locked up. You hear me? You have to understand there's a shortage of men right now.
Never comment. As soon as you said it.
You heard me?
Yeah, you said it's a shortage of men.
A shortage of good men, and at the end of the day, the women are making money, the men making it. And at the end of the day, the men have the, like I said, we have advantage over the women because we're outnumbered.
Okay, cool. I see we got Bob just came to the bed. What's up, man? Here, I'm greeting everybody. What up? Y'all crazy, bro, man. Just having this conversation up here, man.
Did you hear me what I had said?
Yeah, you said that it's a shortage of men, and you was gonna expand on that, I believe.
What's going on, Fox?
Guys, greetings, peace and love, guys. What you know good?
You supposed to be in Atlanta right now, my brother.
Don't get worried, man. Just go to sleep.
Hey, Sauce, when you gonna drop some more music, man? What's going on?
Man, I'm working up. I'm actually about to drop
Top Shelf Long Island.
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday.
Top Shelf
Dropping
Six
next
on the beat.
Friday. It's all on the way. It's all in the pot, man. It's all in the pot.
Man, yo, bro. One thing I tell you, these dudes from Memphis know how to rap.
Man, that's a fact.
This ain't got no cheese on, no meat on.
Reason I want to have the build today is because we talk about
I'm
building
not
this
gonna so I just let it
new
go.
world. In order for us to truly embrace our spirituality, I feel like polygamy is something that we will have to look into, like it's necessary to bring out generational curses. And I just feel like it's us expressing our ourselves at our, at our highest extent. Just even like for me, like growing up, I was always naturally just around a lot of women. You know, I felt
Because she feed
like
herself.
just better around a lot of women. You feel what I'm saying? And where I'm from, the culture where I'm in, it's like we been there. You feel me? So I seen a lot about.
Shout out to More Beard. Yes, but you can tell she's over it right away. Okay. I y'all. When you tell somebody that, first of all, there's so many red flags here.
Right.
There's so many red flags here. Number one, he's having a full blown conversation with someone else on the phone in the middle of the date.
Right.
Number two, we already know. She said, I do not eat off anybody else. I don't want to share my food with you. And what did he do? Stuck the food in her face.
Yep.
I don't know if you can hear, but he also gets a little offended at her whenever he sees her laughing and like I said, interacting with the comments. Let's unpack it.
Let's unpack it. Well, when he first said, as to your first point, when you said that he told her, well, he got offended because he feels like she's consumed with the comments, right? So, and then he goes ahead and he's consumed with his own comments, right? So his own conversation. So we got to keep them. Yeah. So part of that red flag is this, especially when it comes to the toxic person or the narcissist, is this: they want your gaze to be on them at all times. They want your gaze to be on them. In the beginning of the relationship, their gaze will be upon you. During the romancing and the love bombing, the gaze is on you, and that is to lure you in. And then once they feel that they have you, they want your gaze to be on them at all times. If you notice, Nature Boy's relationship with his makeshift wives, notice that right, their gaze is on him at all times. He trained them to be that way. If you notice, they watch for every little detail. They're scraping things off his face, they're fixing his little head wraps, and they're fixing his change. Their gaze is constantly on them. That's what he wants in the relationship. He wants your gaze to be on him. So he does not want you to be consumed with anything but him. That's first and foremost. Now, the violating of her boundaries will start very subtly in the relationship. It will be, here, take this food. It's almost a demand, right? Eat this, take that, give me this, I'll take that from you. There's no questions. He's not asking her what her boundaries are. They don't even assume that you have anything. No type of boundaries. They want you to be an extension of them. So it starts early in the relationship. If you notice, he said, while he was talking to this guy, he said, you need to take a woman out of her natural environment. Realize this, that I don't know if anybody ever read the Willy Lynch letters, right? One of the stipulations to that Willy Lynch letter was take the Well, you got to take the person or the enslaved out of their natural environment. It's part of the process of taking. That's why they separate you from your social circle. That's why they do. Her social circle right now is the online system. It's the comments. It's her platform. She's looking into her own phone, reading her own comments, right? Engaging with her own audience. He's right now. It's a problem for him very subtly. But if their relationship had proceeded, he would have started a process of separating her from her audience, her support circle, and then eventually physically away from her own family. So that is the start of an indoctrination. That is the start of being able to take over your mind, body, and spirit. I got to remove you from everything that you're comfortable with. I got to remove you out of your natural environment. Keep in mind, he's not even out of his natural environment right now. He's born and raised in Atlanta, right? Or wherever he says he's from, New York. So what is a natural environment for him? It is Babylon. Her natural environment is Babylon. But he's saying things like remove a woman from her natural environment. And even though he's been away to the tropics, he haven't been there long enough to really call that being away.
Did you notice, number one, also, I think it was strategic, that comment. Did you notice her facial expression not during that part, and especially when he said that the men are either in prison or homosexual?
Yeah, he did. And that was strategic. He wanted to make a mention of that. Right.
Why would a man want to say these things to someone else in earshot of the one? I know why. I'm just asking the question so that we can, why would a man do that?
Well, in hindsight, for him, it's like, I might as well get you comfortable with the idea now. So that's not something that you would have to question later, right? So if I say all men are homosexual, but he didn't technically say himself, but he's saying all men are technically homosexual. So if the relationship proceeds and she happens to see him engaging with sex with other men, he can remind her of the time he told her that all men were homosexual, right? So this is how the narcissists work. They do things subtly in the beginning, right? What might be a wow moment, like, wow, how could he say something like that, right? It's just squeezed in the middle of a conversation. Some of his actions, some of his really invasive actions are squeezed in subtly in some of the things that he's do, forcing her to open her mouth, putting the food in, putting his fork in her plate. All of these things might seem small in the beginning.
Stella.
Hey, Stella.
That's right.
And if you don't pick up on it, they can be something that takes over you in the middle of the relationship, and you have no control over in the middle of the relationship.
Why do you think a lot of these men, I mean, I feel like it's mostly men. I don't know if women are out here doing it as well. Why are they using the Willy Lynch letter as a guide? And I'm gonna lower this screen real quick, and I'm gonna read an article after you get done talking about, just in case somebody's not familiar.
Yeah, well, the Willy Lynch, people are using it as a guide. I mean, because it spells out really in the Willy Lynch letters. It's pretty much a letter written by a guy named Willy Lynch, who indicated that if these specific rules are kind of done to the T by slave masters, you will have pretty much a slave who will be indebted and loyal to you for the next 400 years, right? But it was so written and strategically written through elements of psychology. It was done through the elements of psychology, so that if all of these different type of abuse, physical, mental, and psychological abuse was done, that you will have a person who will listen to you and be a slave to you without.
Uh-oh.
Sorry?
What happened? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ivy. Keep going.
Okay. So in short, people use it because now we're living in pretty much, when it comes to being in a society now where when you kind of look at. Okay. Oh, she's here?
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Okay, waiting for her to come on up. So
I know.
if it's
We
used,
done created a whole new story. I mean, a whole new
well, we wanted to hear her story anyway, so we're gonna end this real soon. So yeah, so if it's used in that way, we noticed that some men are, very toxic ones, by the way, are kind of following the same format of the Willy Lynch syndrome. Now, let's question whether or not if this is done purposely or consciously or subconsciously, right? We're not really sure, but if you have a person who is oppressed by a systematic a system, right, and they are acting out that oppression, who do they have left to oppress but the woman, right? If a male is oppressed, who he has left to oppress but the woman, because he's already oppressed, right? So he's going to oppress the weaker sex, and that's, and a lot of times it's the woman. It's the woman that he will oppress, because that's the weaker sex. So this is a problem right now in our community, and people are bringing it up because it's something that needs to be thoroughly explored. But when I said the reason why I brought that up is because I actually read it again recently, and when he said take a woman out of her natural environment, it spoke volumes to me, because I just literally read that a few days ago, and that was part of the Willy Lynch letters.
Yes.
So here it talks about
Real talk.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Real talk, guys.
Hey, what's up, more dear?
Hey, more dear.
Everything is up. But I agree. Continue.
Yes.
What's up, girl? What's been going on?
What's up with you, girl?
Did you get your book?
Everything is good. Oh, I didn't. I got to go to my P.O. box. I do have to do that. Maybe I'll do it in the morning.
I thought you would come up here and give me some good news.
Then no, if you sent it, then yes, I will definitely let you know when I pick it up. But I will pick it up. But yes, no. Let's talk about this video. I'm not taking us off. I'm great. Okay. I hope you guys are too. Everything's great with you.
Yes.
Everything's good with y'all? Y'all good?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm beautiful. Girl, I do not let nothing bother me. Okay. Real will tell you. Okay, Real will tell you I live in my little bubble all day. Okay. Feeling real good about my little bubble.
Okay. It's all about the bubble. It's
there,
all about the bubble. Get your bubble straight, hey, that's the universe.
That's right.
Okay.
So I wanted to quickly read this, and then I'm gonna we're gonna switch gears a little bit, because I had people up here, and so I don't want to bore you guys.
All right, well, I'm with you. I just wanted to say hello, but I did want to talk about that last video too. But I
which
understand
one?
the growth. The last one with the nature
you was
boy
just watching.
Yeah, I was with y'all, and the Leah girl, but we're reading about it. So I'll make it quick. It's like he was doing the very most to break any boundaries that he would have had. Like, how you gonna be online with a panel, and then when she started looking at anything, you know what I'm saying? You tell her she can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Shoving food in her face, all that. He was just doing the most because he does that because he's uncomfortable. He don't know how to relax, and I see that in YP too. Not that, he ain't in the news, but like when he went on a date with that girl out of town or whatever, he was trying to do the most online. It's like so uncomfortable for them, you know what I mean? And they're making it uncomfortable for everybody. And I think it is a sign that for both of them that of their arrested development, you know what I mean? Like they really don't know how to work outside. It's always they're trying to get people in their delusion. You know what I'm saying? Yep. When people's in their regular world doing their regular shit, you know what I mean? They can't operate outside of their delusion. So
and we were asking the question, Nosy, what do you do if you come across someone like this, if you're on a date with someone like this, if you're working with someone like this, what do you do? How should we respond? Is it easy to respond the way we would like to?
You call somebody.
It's kind of like who it is, like if it's somebody you don't know, unfortunately, she feels like social media kind of brings us into makes us feel like we're in people's lives. You know what I'm saying? But we don't even really know the half. You know what I'm saying? Like some people do show all of their stuff. You know what I mean? But we can't really expect to know everything about a person that we, across, paths with. But many people feel like they know people. You know what I'm saying? And that's why she felt comfortable enough to meet this guy off of, and you know what I mean?
That says something about social media, and like because they do have this dating, online dating is increased, and so
and I've definitely met people offline. Like I have done that. I'm not.
Have you went on a date
I mean?
with someone from offline?
Yes, definitely.
How was that? Here I go again, being all nosy.
Come on, yeah, come with it, yeah.
How was that experience?
Oh, it's been many times, like not several, but many. You know what I mean?
Were they the same way that you thought they would be?
Well, I have an extensive vetting process, from intuition to also just the conversation. I don't just be like, oh hey, you want to meet? You know what I mean? It's like we will have to go back and forth several times. But to answer your question that more direct, they were exactly who they were, who I was talking to, but that don't mean that was all that there was to them. So I just found out something more about them. You know what I mean? Not that it wasn't them, but it was more good or something more not pleasing, about them that would even make me continue to, converse with them or not, So it's I guess it's probably my state of mind. You know what I'm saying? I don't go into things like a falling in love type, scenario.
Wait, you said you don't get into falling in love?
Yeah, it wasn't like a falling in love like scenario, or I didn't go into the scenario like I knew a person, whether it was for business or a friend or more. You know what I'm saying? It's like I didn't fall in love with the person where it's going to let me down. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go into a full party. It's for whatever purpose it was. Let's go.
We're gonna have to.
Very nice.
We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk. I need detail.
But I will be in the scenario if we talk about, and that's fine. We could talk about it, because I do have very, very many. Well, I have a few that'll be interesting. It'll be a good story time. But in that scenario where like let's say people, if we're all in your chat, you know what I'm saying, and we like, oh, let's go out, let's go to the museum, let's go have, beverages or something.
Even
like
in
that,
a circumstance even in an instance like that, you can still end up with somebody who is very controlling, overbearing, who wants to steal your energy. This is how people get into cults, honestly.
That is how people get into cults, when you're too susceptible to the people, well, just to the world, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta, hey, Hollywood ain't all this. It's more. Hollywood is more than you think it is.
That's right. Can I share? I'm about to share this with y'all. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe this is my first time really looking at this. Hold on. I got you. Let me see if I could. Where is it? Is this it? PowerPoint presentation? Yeah. Okay. So we were mentioning the Willy Lynch letter. Look at this, y'all. Look at this.
Oh, you want to read? Oh, you got it? Very good.
I'm not gonna read all of it. It's very
Uh,
long.
it's like the worst. And then they said it's
Listen
not
to
even.
this.
It was
Don't
something
forget,
that
you
people
must
came up with.
pitch the old black, huh?
Oh, that they, that saying that it wasn't. That's not a real letter. It was just, uh, it was fiction.
It
It
was a
was like,
speech.
yeah, it was like it wasn't real. It didn't come from the source from which they said it came. Kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
was reading that too. But this
Yeah,
whatever this
but
document is, it
still, it's
existed.
yeah,
Right.
yes, yeah. Let's get it. Let me hear.
So it says, don't forget you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark skinned slaves versus the light skinned slaves and the light skinned slaves versus the dark skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary your slaves trust and depend on us. The most love, respect, and trust only us.
It's very many poignant points. Like I know we don't want to read the whole thing right here, but it gets real deep. Like deeper than kin and the sex, male or female. Like it goes deep in this letter, or in this like historic
Right.
reenactment, or
Right.
this psychological thing.
Baby.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it spells in a nutshell what we was talking about in terms of a whole totalitarian feel, right? Totalitarianism. And that is what transcends across any type of indoctrinated system where the person is looking to control a person or people in any situation. So this was just um, a documented word by word on how to proceed to psychologically control people, right? So when you hear a person who's very toxic or narcissistic, they kind of speak almost to a same type of element or feel to any type of Willy Lynch letter or totalitarian system where there's some rules or psychological um, implemented, um, you know, play by play on how to take over a person's mind. And so that's why it's very important in a relationship, especially when you're facing maybe a person that you don't know is toxic or a narcissist. You want to kind of hear all their little rules that they have regarding gender roles, right? Uh, what a woman should and shouldn't do, what a man should and shouldn't do, what you shouldn't be saying, what you shouldn't be doing. Pay attention to those things, right? Because then you don't really have to really dig deep. They're telling you, that it's in the sauce, and you don't have to dig deep to know the flavor of what you're getting yourself into, right? So yeah, so sometimes it's eye opening. I implore everybody to read it, because we are kind of going through pretty much, we're kind of going through some roles right now in society with with men and women right now, based on our own oppression from years ago. We're going through a lot of that right now. So I implore everybody to read it, whether it's real or not. It had a feel of wow, look at what we're actually going through right now, based on our own oppression.
Did you
Definitely.
guys did y'all watch? Yes, ma'am. Did y'all ever see the $1 million Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah,
You saw
This
that,
is what, oh
right?
my gosh.
I seen that years ago. It was great. It was a
So
great.
the the premise of it essentially was you go through your life and you experience certain things and you learn certain things. And and then in the future, if you might be asked a series of random questions that over your life you might know that random trivia. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like how, I don't know. I'm not gonna make examples. I hate when people do that all the time. But yeah, you know, you might have the answers to those the most randomest ass questions. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to end this. You know what I'm saying? Like a person following a certain doctrine. You know, that exists. But I think in this case, I think it's a person that has went through a certain uh caliber of circumstance, you know, and I've said this before, uh being the mentality of a sex worker, you know what I mean, is what? It's total fucking manipulation. You know what I mean? And this comes off of the hill of a child that, you know, could have been manipulative just from the get go. You know what I'm saying? But still had to, could have possibly, I'll say could have possibly, because I don't know, could have possibly had to figure out how to maintain a certain life. You know, he goes to some sort of mental institution, and then whether it be a like a juvenile place, you know, group home, like get some sort of military start, you know, drilling. Just think about it, you know, just it's the layers of shit of things that we've heard of because we don't know this guy, but what is building up for me is exactly that. You know what I'm saying? Is he wanted to be used and abused as a child, and then he was taught to abuse, use and abuse.
Absolutely, that's a cycle of abuse.
Right.
And I just wanted to point out from, you know, as we, you know, kind of take it back to the video, it says it right here. Both horse and the N word in this particular situation are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. If you what he said over the phone, take the woman out her natural environment, her natural state.
Right.
So if you hear a man or a woman or whoever it is you are speaking with, if you hear them say things and they make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, if they make you go wide-eyed with disbelief, you need to become your own investigator. Start asking questions about what you just heard. Where did you get that information from?
That's right.
Who do you listen to? Who do you watch? Where do you get your knowledge from?
Like, where do you get that shit from?
Right. Where did you hear? And they will tell you because they'll be proud of it.
Right.
So unfortunately, it's how long have we been here? About an hour.
I thought we were gonna hear Noel's story.
I thought we were too. I'm
sorry. Did I talk a long time?
No. Listen, y'all. I'm hearing babies cry in the background. In my background.
Love, it's good talking to you.
So I mean, Noel. Okay, Noel's here. Okay, how about this, Noel? You're gonna come up, right?
Thanks. Peace.
I'll drop. You want me to drop down too?
So this is okay. Noel, you're gonna come up, right? You're going to talk to us a little bit because I really want to be focused and pay attention. I may have to push the conversation with you till tomorrow. I can put it up on the link. I mean, email you or whatever, or put the live up in advance so that you'll be able to be here once the live starts. So I'm gonna bring you up, and you're gonna talk to us a little bit.
She want to add something to this topic, and then she can add to this topic, and then tell her story the next time.
Right.
You want me to drop down? I'm gonna drop down so you can focus on Noel.
No, I want you to stay up.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me get rid of this right here. Okay. Now I gotta. Click on the link. Yeah, just
Drop it.
click on the link.
Did you drop it?
It should have already be there. I'll drop it one more time. Paste. Did I do it? Oh yeah. And it's up. More beer. I hope you're still here. Where did more beer go? I hope you're in the chat, at least. So I just dropped it for you. Come on up. Um, share your thoughts because we're going to use this as a, what do you call it? Like a footnote,
A segue.
a segue, or there's a better term. Oh, we're say present. So a segue would be like a transition, right? What do you call it when you're like prepping for the next a preclude or something? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I
But
don't read minds.
but we're setting you up for Noel to I'm on StreamYard tonight. I mean Restream. I'm on Restream. So if you don't have Restream, you might have to do just an annoying amount of work to get in. Is this her? 3 to 6 people. She got it. Okay. Noel, can you hear us? Thank you, more beer.
Interlude. Okay.
I don't like transition. I like interlude.
Yeah, me too. Uh-oh.
I think we're gonna. And so
I said
let me.
segue too. I said segue more beer.
I'm
Yeah, she
here.
said. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, we can hear you.
Hi. I'm
Hi.
sorry. I wasn't following the instructions well. I was trying to open it in Chrome, but I needed to be on Safari. So I'm good now. How's everyone?
Okay. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm well. I apologize for being late, but I'm on Central Time and I forgot you guys are on Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, you're in Central Time. So what time is it there?
It's 9:19 now, and I thought that if I was coming early at 10 minutes till, but I was 40 minutes later, 50 minutes late already.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do for
Mhm.
tomorrow because I'm
Right.
gonna go live tomorrow, and that's where you will catch up where we'll start where we left off.
Okay, but may I say something about Nature Boy and this
Absolutely,
Willie Lynch thing? Okay,
absolutely.
um, the Willie Lynch letter, or the whether it's real or not real, it's we deal with it so much in our society right now. For example, where it says we pit young women against older women. I'm probably older than most of the women here, um, and they want us to be separated. And if you watch like Bigo or any of the chats, when there becomes an issue between women, the first thing they'll attack a woman with is "you're old."
Yep.
And you're old, your hair, the color of your skin, all of that means that's a division that they want to have, instead of, in my case, I can learn from a younger woman things that I don't know.
Right.
And um I I feel comfortable in learning that. I don't feel like because I'm older that I should pull rank just on that alone,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of younger women have had a wider range of experience, especially in dating and love, than someone in my generation, because the standards are different. The things
Mm.
that are allowed now were were not the same when I was growing up. And that's
Mm.
just one of the ways. But we deal with it in our families, with light skin, dark skin, good hair, bad
Mm.
hair, all of these little um, delineations that really have no substance. But that's where it comes from.
That's right.
It comes straight from the plantation. And to
Yep.
our discussion about Nature Boy, he does it all the time. In he feels because he's the older person in the group that he has the rank on the people, and he does not.
That's right.
And he actually feels superior on that alone. But I mentioned this to you and Ivy yesterday, and it hit me. People are talking about all of Nature Boy's current mental health issues and whatever. But based on his story, if I'm correct, he says he lost both of his parents in very young. And I lost my mother in 12 hours after my birth. So there was no bond to my mother. And I've since learned there's something called radical attachment disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, it's like a spectrum. And but some people who have not had that initial attachment to the mother, they can become antisocial. And I've seen it. Nature Boy would be on one extreme of that, and not having that initial bonding properly. And a lot of people don't even survive, and they say failure to thrive. A child who is born and doesn't have that proper bonding with the mother can sometimes not eat, not grow, not develop properly. And I think that's the foundation of his problem. And layer that on top of whatever happened, social services, adoption, being darker skinned, and being brought up in a white home. All of those things have compounded. But I think the bottom line for him is he doesn't have it. And and I noticed it in the several times, but most recently in the interview with Sonetta, and he was acting out and doing all those crazy things. Do you guys remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he was raging and vulgar and all these things, and then he's crying and sucking his thumb. All of those, sucking your thumb is very primitive, and it's like nursing, and all of the things that he has an issue with attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he has such an issue with other people bonding with their children, because he doesn't have that connection, and he doesn't know how he doesn't even realize it himself. um I don't think that I have that, but I do know that I am wired differently than my siblings. And and just by my circumstance, I've learned now, not my mother not being there, being the youngest of 10 children in the home at that time, there was no, I was left, I spent a lot of time in my crib or alone. I learned how to soothe myself. And I see going even in my relationships now and all throughout my life, dating with dealing with men, and to your books topic, and we'll discuss that further. I've had I've had men say to me, give yourself to me. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm here. I'm married to you. I have kids with you. I'm in it, right? But there's a part of me that is not available. Um, it's just not there. And I at first I thought, um, it was a fluke, that the person was, but I am the common denominator in all of my relationships. So I say that to say, for example, if in my marriage, and in I'll just use that. I thought I was in the relationship. I was doing all of the things that you're supposed to do, but there was never this feel. There was a feeling like if you stay, you stay. If you go, you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to make me any difference either way. And I think that's a that psychology. If a person wants to be needed or valued from you, I can go through the motions of it, but the bottom line is I know I don't need you to survive.
Right.
Mm.
And I I don't know if you guys remember, but we talked about when I met the baby mama lady. And Ivy gave the word for when he said he wanted one thing, but he wanted another. But he was dating someone other. When they left the room, I was struck by something. He was walking out and she was holding on to like the tail of his shirt, right? And I thought that was very odd. But over time, I realized, and we went to therapy in this marriage trying to make it work. And he was saying that I don't need him. And I said, I never
Mm-hmm.
did. I
Mm.
never needed you. And I told you that. And I go into my relationships not needing the person. I want to be there because I want to be there. I know I don't need the person. And I think when you realize as a child that, okay, I have no mother. I didn't know I didn't have a mother until I was like 5 years old because my home was, there was no mother in the home.
Right.
And no one was calling anyone mommy. There was no mommy there.
But
And
here's the thing. So the question is, even though you don't need a person, you should never need someone, you know?
right,
Even though you don't need them, um, what does companionship with them look like? I think sometimes we get wrapped in, okay, if I don't need the person, then they don't need to be in my life. When that's just not the case. And you know, are they, do their goals, aspirations, understanding things that are important to me, do they align with what I would like? Do they align with my happiness, my peace? And if so, there's nothing wrong with companionship. I think
right.
the issue is that there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a wall that has developed between the
Right.
woman and the man.
Exactly. But I think, to this, I agree. And I think there's like on this spectrum, there are people like Nature Boy is constantly surrounded by people.
Yeah.
And we say that's narcissistic supply. And I'm not, well versed in that. What
Mm-hmm.
I is that he finds people very disposable. And I've seen him dispose of people very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what I feel from it, and maybe I'm projecting, I don't know, but there's some connection between his bonding with with his mother, and I think that's the core of his problem.
Oh,
And
you're absolutely right. Ivy will
and,
tell you.
Yeah, we
and
spoke about that on
right,
many of occasions, right? We did. Hmm.
and none of those, and none of the relationships that's why he's so hell bent on destroying the mother child bond, because he
Yes.
cannot understand it. And he cannot understand it, and I think he cannot feel it. And
That's why he tries to replicate it. So
right,
here's the thing, here's the okay, so all of that is embedded in the childhood wound, right? So
right,
everything that you said, I totally agree with. You know your stuff. So, with the there's another word called attachment theory. So that's something I would like you to look into. So
okay,
attachment theory,
hmm,
right? So with the child being separated from the mother, so with that early having that early childhood wound due to any type of abuse, neglect, or abandonment, or just the parent not being there,
right,
right? So
hmm,
then you got that early developmental stage between the ages of 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So then what happens due to that personality development? So you have you have two sides of a coin, right? So you have you get the either clingy behavior, and what you would describe even yourself having what you call avoidant personality. Avoidant, which means I
Absolutely.
don't need you, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
And
that's, and he kind of has the same, he has the same format too, but not, but what makes his toxic compared to yours is this: he's trying to replicate the mother.
right,
You don't feel like you have to, because you know you just don't have nothing to gauge that against.
right,
He has a longing for that.
right. Let
You
me explain.
understand?
Let me add
But
this, and you can tell me what you take from this. Okay, back in my time when I was coming up, we, I didn't even know my father's actual first name because I only heard him referred to as daddy, right?
mm, mm,
So I remember when I found out that I didn't have a mother, I was 5 years old.
mm,
And I was in school, and the teacher gave out these papers, but she didn't give one to me, but I could read. So I was coming home with a friend, and I was like, "What is that paper?" And the paper was an invitation to a mother daughter breakfast.
Oh.
So I didn't know. I was like, "What is that?" Because the women in my life all had titles: grandma, auntie,
mm,
sister, but I
mm,
didn't hear mommy, and
mm,
no one mentioned it to me. And so I went home. I go to my father, who's a mature man, um, South American descent, a bit on the machismo side, um, not formally educated, hardworking and strong. Grew up, coming from a caste system, so everything has an order, and
mm,
everything has a place. And I was told very simply, you have a mother, she got sick, she died, and this is your life. And I'm not a mother. I'm never going to be a mother, and you're not getting one. So these are your cards, and this is how you're going to play them. And you're going to
mm,
be just fine. You're going to I'm going to be your parent. I'm going to be here for you. This is your family. And this is the life you've been assigned, and you're going to live it. And I was like, "Okay, that's my life." And
mm,
I never thought any more about that.
mm,
And I never really, it didn't occur to me what I had lost, because in that time, people used to say you can't miss something you never had. That's not true. I
mm,
didn't know I didn't know what it was until I had my own children.
mm,
And then I realized what I didn't have. I had an excellent father and excellent support. And I think that's why I would consider myself to be well adjusted or well adapted. I was able to function in society without becoming like Nature Boy. But
right.
there is a part of me that being brought up primarily by a man, I am not emotional. I see it in my own
Mm.
siblings.
That's
I,
scary.
I'm not
So,
emotional about things that I've had men tell me that, you know, and I'm like, what do you want? I mean, and I was socialized in a way that if I hurt myself, or if my cousin did something bad to me, and I would cry, my father would just nod his head, no, 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 no. Think, don't cry.
Right.
And that was my and if you're gonna cry, if you insist, you'll remove yourself from the room. But
oh
there was
God,
no crying was not a permissible thing for me.
right.
And so when I'm confronted in a marriage situation, I had great love and was totally engaged and committed. But when faced with the information of the infidelity that was blowing up my life, not one tear came out. And I removed myself from the room. I went by myself. I cried it out by myself. And I woke up the next morning. Okay, here's what we're doing.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Don't give that
Oh,
away.
okay, I won't. But I'm saying that attachment,
Right,
what he expected from me,
right,
and what he needed from me, and what made what I didn't have it to give.
right. And you know what's interesting? It sounds like two people with two unresolved childhood traumas.
Right.
Is going to bring me to my next question. Well, my first question when we go live tomorrow.
Okay.
And I would like for you to address it is therapy. So hold that in your mind.
I
You know,
will.
you use that as food for thought for tomorrow.
Okay.
It'll be sometime around noonish.
Okay.
But I'll put it up for you earlier in the day, like in the morning.
Yeah.
I'll
be ready. No problem. Just text. You have my actual phone number, so text.
I do. I was getting ready to call. I was getting ready to text you, but I was like, she might be asleep if she don't see the email.
No, don't. I'll see the text before I would the email, but I knew I'll put it on my schedule because this is really a good thing for me to be able to share it.
Absolutely.
And because I have not shared it really. I have had therapy, but I really don't talk about this with people. But I do think that it can be useful, and it may be useful to someone.
Absolutely.
You know.
Do you have any last thoughts on how the video that I did show with Eligio and Leah? Do you have any thoughts on how she handled herself?
Leah, to me, just what I observed, that was very disturbing. And Leah kind of plays fast and loose with her own safety. And she has daddy issues and mommy issues that are unresolved. And I think putting herself with someone like Nature Boy and the promiscuity that's present in her life, men like Nature Boy, I think, when they see a woman who carries herself in that way, they feel they can take a certain liberty. And I think that's the same thing that he did. He already doesn't like women as it is, but I think he has the Madonna whore syndrome in his mind. He doesn't have, you're either an angel or a whore. And and when he sees,
what if I told you I don't think, honestly, I don't believe he sees any woman as an angel. There's no woman in his mind that is ever an angel. If you are, then you're just denying your natural instinct, and he's going to do any and everything he can to prove to you that you're just a whore like everyone else.
I think that's part, you're right in part, but I think that in his mind, in some stage in this dance that he does with women,
right,
he does have you elevated as queen, as goddess, as somebody. You're on the throne, but he's gonna take you down. He elevates you. It may be his core belief that he doesn't see you like that, but he puts them up there, even if he uses that just as a tactic to later destroy the image of the woman, right? But he's not, let's say this, in my opinion, he's not well rehearsed, and he's not a strategic two-process thinker, but he will play the game to get their guards down. So he does something he, with this love bombing or whatever he does, he leaves the impression that women are so great, but it's later revealed by his own actions how horrible, how badly he feels about women, right. or his
that's part of it. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm sorry. But no, that's okay. That's part of the splitting. I just wanted to throw that in there. So it's part of the mentality of a guy like him, and that narcissistic behavior is the splitting. So it's always going to be, like you said, some women are devils and some women are angels. The ones he would perceive to be as angels are the ones who he would think is a reflection of him, his extension. So the angels, even though he does demonize them in a sense when it comes to breaking them down, right? But that's part of that indoctrination. He has to break them down to keep them indoctrinated to his belief system. But they
Right.
still are overall angels above any other woman, because these are the women that he are raising up in a sense,
Yes,
right?
his own
So,
creation.
right. So yeah,
Exactly.
totally, I
Now,
totally agree.
now, what about this piece about this whole thing? I think his all of his things, when you put them all together to bring him into with Leah and any woman, he feels that he doesn't respect other people's boundary and autonomy at all, and that's why they all have to. He wants to be babied and catered to, and all of those things. I just see him as very his it seems I recognized it very quickly when I first saw him. And I saw him briefly, and how I got attached to the whole story was I started watching when Serenity was pregnant and having a baby. And then I saw um, Velvet having her daughter, which was a very horrible experience for me, but I thought she was going to lose her life in that instance. But I noticed in him that he didn't have any awareness in that situation of what, you know, that a woman can die in childbirth. He didn't have that, and I found that odd at his age. He just didn't have any compassion, and I remember the language that he was using, or had convinced these young women that having a baby or delivering a baby would be like orgasmic, and the baby would portal through, and it was just some type of um, unrealistic way that this was going to go down, the whole thing.
You
And I
can't
was,
look at him as a 40-year-old. You have to look at him as a 13, 14,
Yeah,
maybe 15-year-old.
I
yeah,
think younger. I see him younger.
yeah. He has a his emotional intelligence is very, low. But see, that's the process. So he doesn't. You see, I promise you, he's sitting in jail even now, saying, "How? How? Why am I here? Why am I
Exactly.
here?" He don't
Exactly.
get it. He don't get it. So nothing that he have done over the course of the last few years or more has even processed in his brain as being wrong. It just does not. So that's part of the disorder. And I would, I be trying to, get people to recognize that, what we see clearly, he does not see in himself clearly. He can see other people clearly. That's why he's able to manipulate them. But when it comes to his own actions, no, he doesn't see it clearly. He's baffled about being in jail right now. He's
Yeah.
baffled.
Oh yeah. He was baffled that when the day when they picked him up, he was in shock.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, how? I was like, how can you not have seen that this is the next logical thing?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he has no 1, 2, 3. His mind does not have any linear aspect to it. He has
Mhm.
It's like he has a certain years that he can go, but he can't go beyond that. But
Yeah.
I see him
Look,
when
hey
I
yo, so I just want to point out, did y'all see that quickly? He took her, let me rewind it. I need y'all to see this part, because this is what I was talking about earlier, Ivy. Look, watch, just pay attention, y'all. Look what he does. This is what we were talking about, boundaries and not respecting them. She said specifically, I don't like to share. I don't want you eating on my plate, and I don't want to eat off your plate.
right.
Oh, did I miss it? Let me see. Let me make sure I didn't miss it. There we go.
Okay. And he pops it in his mouth.
Ew. Ugh. He did it with his fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's so
sometimes
gross.
it is gross. And even with him, because Morbius said he knows why. I get that, because there's times where he have these premonitions. He have these he has these intuitions about something that he's doing wrong, and he predicted even possibly going to jail on many of occasions.
Yes,
But
yes.
once he gets swooped up in the manic mode, and his, it's, you got to realize all of the smoke and mirrors, the fact that he's living within a household full of enablers, right? He created his own illusion. So it doesn't process to him that he's doing wrong, because nobody is giving him reality checks. He doesn't have any reality checks. So in his reality, he's not wrong. Everybody telling him he's God. Everybody telling him he's doing right.
Right. And those, that to me, if someone tells you, don't eat off my plate, right? He doesn't know this woman at all.
Yep.
And but he doesn't even have the common respect to just follow any rule. That's a real small thing. Don't eat off my plate.
Thing. That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, but when he living in a household at this very moment, he having his date with her, he got 4 or 5 women at home waiting for him to come home to eat off their plates, right?
Exactly.
So there's nobody there's nobody self-checking him. So it would be an unconscious act on his part to still violate her boundaries, because he's constantly violating boundaries of other people who have already given up the idea of having boundaries with him,
Right. And I think that early boundary violating, like eating off the plate, if you're an easy person, if you have a hard time enforcing your boundary, that breaks you down. It becomes more, eating off of someone's plate is very familiar with the person.
Right. Sitting next to him, just sitting next to a person while eating off their plate.
Most people on the first date aren't sitting in that position. I wouldn't be.
No, that's how you sit after months or years of being in a relationship or dating or courting the individual. You don't
exactly.
Your first date is not sitting so close in the person's personal space, grabbing on their body. It's just eating off their plate, eating their asparagus.
Yeah, it's so weird. And like the person who said, I don't know if it was Ivy or Morbert who was saying it, this social media thing, it gives you the opportunity to think you know the person more. So it breaks down your inhibition, I guess is the word that I would say. If I'm just with the information that's already out there before this date with Leah and Nature Boy, right? I would have been on the opposite side of the table, and I wouldn't have been by myself with him, but I'm very cautious. But she is not. She's reckless in her nature. Yeah. But she has a more reckless tendency, and I get it that she's young, but he's very calculating. And I don't see how these young women, I know he disarms them. And I've seen how he disarms them by flattering men and elevating them above other women. You're the queen.
Right.
Yep. You're better. But and they buy into it.
Ew, he's licking off I gotta turn. I'm sorry. I gotta stop this now. Yeah, he just licked the plate, y'all.
Did you see her face? She's already seeing. She knows this guy is weird.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm like, and he has so I found out how he works now. Okay. I kind of see it, but he's very dangerous, but he finds a way to make them not acknowledge that danger. That's real psycho, licking a plate like that. I don't know what kind of.
And then it was like a sneaky lick. Okay, I'm gonna do it one more time, y'all. One more time. This is some sick shit. Who licks a plate like this? I never seen nothing like that in my life. He scoops up the last bit. Watch. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. He knows he's on camera.
Oh, Ladies, if you see someone like this, run. Get up from
Yes.
the seat and run. Watch, it's coming, y'all. Here it go. What was the purpose in licking it like that with two fingers?
You know what I think? I think that goes back to like how toddlers are. I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
behavior goes back to, you know how when you have a little kid, I have,
Mhm.
they don't, he doesn't have any foundational like rules or manners or any of
Right,
those things. The
At all.
foundation is just not there, because
right,
even if you would do that, you wouldn't do it when you were on camera.
right.
Right.
I
Mhm.
mean, and we see it with them picking their noses and all these little things
Mhm.
that we know you shouldn't do, or I don't know the proper words. So anytime I'm saying it, correct me with the right words, because I don't know. But I know that they do things that you in public that you shouldn't do. And I think that when she thinks she knows him, but there's something in her that he has convinced her, if you get into a date with Nature Boy or in his
I'm gonna
presence,
make you famous.
I'm gonna make you famous, but I'm
Yeah.
also going to, but you're elevated above other women, because he's preaching this, we're the elite message. And
Mhm.
all of these women are ordinary women.
Yeah.
Mhm.
None of them are exceptional in any way. And
Mhm.
so there's some psychology with them, and each one of them
Yep.
one has this superiority thing going on, and that's why they are his prey.
Mhm.
Yep.
If all things were considered equal, we are all women. I don't see myself any differently than any other woman. I think
Right.
fundamentally we are all the same, and I
But
and
we are. Okay. So in
not
here,
in the sense. I mean, we're all the fact that we're women, because I don't feel better than you because a man chooses me.
I have to stop you.
Okay, stop me anytime. Jump in.
Okay. Because and I wish I didn't have to use this. I don't probably I don't know. I don't mean to offend anybody by using this.
Tell me.
But when a woman is the quote unquote wife of a man who's cheating, one thing I've heard commonly is that um well, at least I have the ring. She is not equal to me because I have the ring, I have the children. I am not the side chick. Therefore, I am a little bit more precious to him than her.
Right, you are correct, but I'm not. I'm speaking on a more base level. Okay, okay, you're right. You have a status and a position, and I said that word yesterday.
Hmm.
She wanted my spot, right? But above all, and the reason that most people have problems with the side chick thing is that there's if I can see part of being a human being, the baseline is we are all equal.
Hmm.
Now, we all have our different things, the wife, the titles, the mother, all of these things. But there's certain things I can't do to another human being simply because I'm human.
Hmm.
So, what I'm saying is, if you have an idea that you are better somehow, based on whatever criteria you decide, whether it's good hair, light skin, you're the queen of the tribe, and okay, um, he has this illusion that he has a group of people that are elite and elevated. They're higher thinkers than us in their own minds. We know that they're not, but in their reality. So there's a certain type of woman who feels probably inferior to other women.
Can
But
I jump?
if this man will tell me that I'm the queen, I'm the next queen, I could be queen or empress or whatever they are, that makes them, and all of these women, the women I'm speaking of, I'll use Velvet by her own admission. She wanted to be queen, and she wanted to have a husband. She wanted the titles. Sybil wanted to be married to him.
Hmm.
Um, Natiri wanted to be queen. All of them want that. They want to be top dog, or if you will.
So can I add? I want to add to
Yeah,
that too.
I'll let
Oh,
you add. I just want to say, after Ivy, we're going to close out.
okay.
Um, but this was a really good discussion. Go ahead,
Oh,
Ivy.
oh yeah. Okay. So part of his this. So he does pick specific women, right? And he sees something in them,
Right.
right? So part of that trauma bonding is because it's rooted in the women. Whatever's going on with them, it's rooted in their own childhood wounds, right? So we got to start to discuss what is going on with these women, that they fit, specific type of woman that falls for him. Because when you look at somebody like Leah, she didn't really fall for him, right? Not to say she don't have her own childhood wounds, she clearly does, but she's so self-absorbed due to those childhood wounds, she wasn't able to she didn't fall for his trickery, right? Now you have these other women who are showing clear signs of what I would call codependency, right? Because of their
Mm.
own childhood wounds, based on their own childhood wounds. So yes, he does put them on a pedestal, and part of that love bombing and part of that romancing, it makes them feel something within themselves. It kind of lets off all of these kind of endorphins in their head. This is the one time they feel some kind of love, or makes them see themselves as some kind of princess or queen, something that they didn't have in their lifetime due to their own, lack of self-worth, right? This is what they get addicted to. It turns into a love addiction, and he's able to manipulate that. So these women are all suffering from some level of codependency. And you see that when they get indoctrinated into these type of situations with the narcissistic men. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And what I'm revealing my own psychology here too. So and don't and I'm not sensitive about it. I know that I'm flawed, right? And I get it. And I have a lot of self-awareness. How and I think what I'm saying is I know what I'm saying. It goes right back to my childhood. I have There are 8 girls in my family, one prettier than the next. And I always learned from my own home, get in line and take a number. If you think you're top dog here, I mean, you're not. You are special in your own way, and we are all different. But there was never a struggle of who was going to be the, if you will, alpha female,
Right.
because there was an alpha male running the house.
That's exactly what it was.
And there was no female was higher than any other female in the environment. And as I came into this environment, I was rocking the boat because they were sort of clones of each other.
I got you.
And that's a whole nother thing. But
And that's we gotta dig in on that, because
yeah.
I want, when we come back next week, or not, I mean next tomorrow. When we come
Mhm.
back tomorrow, I want to definitely discuss the pathology on the roles of a sort of an alpha man has on the psychopathy of the daughter, the young daughter, and the roles of the mother has on the son, right? And how it plays into the early childhood development, right? To kind of, when you grow up, you have these like you said, yourself well, right? Even
Mhm.
if you're flawed, right? And
Right.
that sometimes has the role, has, because you had a father in the household, whether you had a mother or not, but he played a specific role in how he raised you, and that made you the type of person that you are. But that goes even deeper, and we can have that discussion tomorrow.
And
I
I'm
don't.
and I'm open to having it,
Yeah,
because but I
yeah.
have part of the things that I have seen with this whole dynamic, this cult narcissistic thing.
Mhm.
I think that the book has helped me in a lot of people, and I they don't know
Oh
their
my
own
God, y'all.
identity. And
Thank you.
and you know, I would feel, I have 2 daughters also, 5 years apart, and
Mhm.
they're very different personalities, and they're
Mhm.
celebrated in their differences. But
Yes.
there's something that I've seen in all of these young women, every last one of them. We could go down the line.
Yes.
There's something in all of them. They want to take what is ordinary and raise it above what it is. They give it more. Okay, having a pretty face. doesn't mean much to me, because it doesn't, because I know that there's always going to be someone prettier.
Right.
Having the best sex, all of the things that he divides them by. Cue the Willie Lynch letter. Her body's better, her skin color's better, her hair's better, her this. There's always and that's how men always deal with women.
Yes, and now they are demonstrating part of his indoctrination now. So we got to realize that.
Yes.
The question is, would they really have believed this prior to Nature Boy? Do they really believe this prior to having known Nature Boy? Right? So a lot of them now are regurgitating his language. But the question is, did they really believe it? At the core of it all, where the ego lives, right? Where that super ego lives and where that higher self that they speak about actually live, what is the words living within them that's not Nature Boys, that believes that there is some kind of autonomy, that believes there's some kind of self-worth, that believe there's some kind of individualism, right? And that they don't really see themselves higher, above, or even lower than. So that's the question that remains, and that we will probably see in the course of time when the kind of the smoke clears from their eyes, or the wool rather, from that indoctrination, if he doesn't come around them after a certain amount of time. We only could pray after Friday.
Can I say this one last thing? I know
last thing, and then I gotta go. I'm
okay,
sorry,
I promise.
y'all.
You know what? Ivy, if you got free time, you should call me. I'm interested.
Real will send me the she'll send me the phone number.
Yeah, I'm very interested, but because this is the thing, I heard it today. I'm reading my book, and you know the parts where
hold on. What book are you reading?
Your book.
You gotta say the name of the book.
What we gotta say.
15 steps to finding love, a woman's journey.
And
I had an idea, and I'm not trying to tell you something, but I think you should, as a way to sell your book or to market it, I think we should read chapters of it and do the exercises.
We talked about this. I'm my goal. I have to bring in the audience.
It's a hands-on. It's a textbook.
Yes.
And it's actually, I love it. And I'm telling you, I consider myself to be a pretty successful, well-accomplished woman. And exercise 1, I'm still trying to, who am I? Who am I?
Y'all, I'm going to start tearing up in a minute, because I do this every time I mention the book, every time I read the book, I go through this process.
I mean, I'm on the page. What is your name? What does it mean?
I mean,
who gave you your name?
Tell it. Talk.
Is there a story behind it? There's a story behind my name. My mother died, and I got my father's name.
That's right. That's right.
And remember the part of that, you making sure we're not getting in these toxic relationships when they try to rename you. Remember,
rename you because your name has a purpose and your name has a history and a story. Bam!
Exactly.
Oh.
And I'm saying, and I said to you, real talk, if I had this 25 years ago, I'm single now. I'm happily single now, but I haven't always been. And luckily, I have my own, the way I am wired and made. I didn't realize it because I wasn't lonely, because I don't need to be with a lot of people. I don't feel like I have to have a person present. Right. I can be alone and be with myself and amuse myself. But now I realize it now. But I have been defined as someone's daughter, sister, wife, mother, all of these things. But who am I?
You said it, girl. We're going to be talking good tomorrow. We have
to get there. But let me say this. I heard Natiri, it was on somebody's video. I'm reading my book, trying to do my homework, and she pops up on the screen. And she's talking about she's healing, and she got a reading from somebody, and her destiny is, she said, is to be a spiritual leader, and she used Natiri and who she was, and who her mother was, and she believes that she has this unwritten birthright to be elevated to be a leader and a teacher. And I was like, before, the reason you don't want the book is because you're not prepared to be the leader yet. She hasn't even crawled.
Exactly.
She
You
hasn't
got to
even.
put in the work before you can leave. You got to put in the work.
Yeah, she doesn't have. She can't. No matter how pretty she is, no how much makeup, no matter how creative, she doesn't have the fundamental thing to lead anybody anywhere. And I think I am no therapist, but I have 2 successful daughters and multiple nieces, and I'll just use my dad's tactic. Let's get real. You are here. You are a regular, ordinary 20-something-year-old woman. You have no education, no profession, no property, none of the things that would make you a solid, independent human being. And so if my daughters were demonstrating any of these behaviors, I'd be like, can we just have a reality check? I don't know who told you that. And I'm not trying to break anybody's spirits. But if you're going to be confident of something that your mind, something that your work ethic. But beauty fades.
That's right.
And all of these things fade, but they have I sense some type of religious, or maybe not religious, maybe spiritual abuse in their lives, coupled with that something is going on with their self-esteem and their ego.
Right.
And your book would be like, they all need to read, every last one of them. I think it should be required reading, because if you don't even know who you are, I really do. It should be required reading.
Oh,
Everybody I know with a daughter is getting this book if I have to buy them all. Because I think starting from the beginning, you have to begin at the beginning.
that's right.
Who are you? And who told you who you were? Because before you knew who you were, someone told you who you were.
There you go.
You are Noelle. That's who you are. And here's how you fit into this story. The story doesn't just the story didn't I came into a story. And I had also in the Thierry's particular case, I have twin grandsons who are not identical, and they're 22 years old now. And I've done a lot of research on twinships and different things. She has an issue because she's not she has a twin issue. She doesn't have a whole identity. Because I was thinking yesterday, I was like, why wouldn't she take a free book? They're looking for love. She's been running all across the planet in the last 5 years looking for love. And here's the book, and it says 15 steps to finding love. Let's have it. She needs the book. You need to read this, teach. I'm here. I'm a student. I am a student in this journey.
More beer said, "Oh, I'm gonna get mine." More beer
I
said,
sent her her book. We ain't paying attention to more beer till she go to her PO box. I ain't got time.
"Oh, I'm gonna get mine."
This book, this book is powerful. I'm telling you,
Yes,
this book
it
is
is.
powerful, and really, and I'm not just saying this to say it. I love books, and I'm an avid reader, but I have been love has been elusive in my life. Romantic love.
That's right.
I'm an excellent partner in a relationship, but love is something that's difficult for me to understand. And
Well,
and they
before I drop down, I want to add that we gotta pay attention to the first love. First and foremost, the first love we need to pay attention to is the love of ourselves, right?
right.
The love of ourselves before we entertain any single love in the world, you know. So I love talking to you, Noel. I can't wait to speak to you tomorrow, but I'm gonna go ahead and drop you.
I do gotta. I'm so grateful for you, Noel and Ivy. Thank you so much for coming up. More beers. Thank you, and everybody in the chat who is listening.
Okay, see you guys later. Get my number, Ivy, because Ivy's gonna walk me through this.
I got you.
That's right.
Okay, guys. All right,
ladies. Have a wonderful night.
Mm-hmm.